Hello, students. Welcome to this session on statement and assumption. A very, very important session because a lot of the students find this topic difficult. In my today's session, I will be discussing the approach through which you can solve a statement and assumption question. Remember, this is the level one of a statement and assumption. What do I mean by level one is it is not with respect to difficulty level, it is with respect to the type of question. So today we will be doing level one type of questions, which means that a statement will be given followed by a few assumptions. You need to identify that which of those assumptions are valid. And then we will be doing level two questions in my next module, which in which a paragraph will be given and you will be asked which of the following is a right assumption or which of the following author is assumed in the above paragraph. So today, basic statement and assumption we will be doing. So let me start today's session. Right. So what is your assumption when you are attending this session? What is your assumption when you are watching this video? And what will be your assumption when you apply to CLAT exam? Obviously, the initial thought process that has prompted you to watch this video is the assumption. So you all know what assumption is because you must have done that in my previous module. But just to revisit it once more, the initial thought process that has prompted you to watch this video is your assumption. The thought process or the thought in your mind that prompts you to apply to the CLAT exam is your assumption. Your assumption, of course, is that you will get selected to National Law School. Your assumption while watching this video is, of course, that you will be able to understand the video. So assumption is the initial thought that prompts me to take a particular action. So our session goal is to understand the importance of assumption in any argument and to learn the three-step process to solve the assumption question. Actually, I will be discussing a three-step process and I will also be discussing another way to look at the assumption. So I will be discussing two approaches in this particular session. So session flow is the concept of assumption. We will revisit it once more. The approach or the approaches, I should say, to solve the assumption question, demonstration of whatever I teach in couple of questions, and the discussion of the pre-session test. So a quick recall. You must have seen this diagram, I'm sure, in my module of structure of the argument. So what is assumption? Assumption is the foundation of the building, the unseen underground part of is the on the which the entire building stands. So our building is the top of the building is the conclusion where the author wants to reach. To reach or to arrive at the conclusion, author has some premise. He builds the premise, which we call as the pillars. And these pillars stand on the assumption, the initial thought, which tells the author that if you construct this premise, you will reach the conclusion. So in your case, if you once again recall that example, in your case, you applying to CLAT exam, your end result or the conclusion that you are expecting is selection in a national law school. That is the conclusion that you are expecting selection in law school. Now, for that selection, you are watching this video, you are learning the concept, you will be taking few mocks, you will be solving questions, so on and so forth. You will be doing all these things. So these actions you are taking so that you can reach your ultimate conclusion or the ultimate goal here of selection in law school. But there is a thought process that has prompted you to watch this video, telling that if you watch this video, chances of you getting selected will be higher. There is a thought process that tells you that if you take the test, your preparation will be in right mode. So all these thoughts that have prompted you to take the action are your assumption. That is what assumption is. I'm sure that by this time you must have recalled all that we have discussed in the structure of the argument session. If not, then please go back and check it once again. The assumption is a very simple part. Anything that prompts you to take a particular action, and you take an action because you have an end result in mind. So that is what assumption is. Now, as I told you, I will be telling you two approaches to solve the assumption question. This is approach number one. I will say that my approach number two is better than approach number one, but approach number one helps me in some instances. So I have incorporated both the approaches. So the approach number one is knowing that what are the common assumptions. Remember, the word is common. I'm not saying that this is the exhaustive list of assumptions that you make while doing any activity. These are common assumptions, and that is why I'm saying approach number two is 100% sure type of thing, and approach number one, you should know that these are common assumptions, because then you can solve your questions quickly. So first type of common assumption that people generally make is a causal assumption. Causal assumption means associating cause and effect or to particular action and a consequence. Let us see what it means. It takes an effect and suggests a cause for it in the assumption. So in this type of question, what will be given is you know, it take it there will be an effect. Something has happened. Something has happened, and in the assumption, a cause for which could be given, and you will be asked whether this is a valid assumption or not. It can be, it cannot be. Let us see how. Always ask whether there might be an alternative cause for it. If yes, then assumption is invalid, right? Always ask whether there might be an alternative cause for it. If yes, then the assumption is invalid. What we are saying is that in the statement, something which is sort of an effect is given. All right. So, for example, the statement is given that I have passed class 12th with 95%. I have passed class 12th with 95%. The statement is given. Now, first assumption, and you need to tell me whether this is a valid or invalid assumption. The assumption which is given is that I have worked hard for it. I have worked hard for the marks. Suppose this is given. Now, whether this is a valid assumption or not, what this causal assumption is saying is that always ask whether there might be an alternative cause for it. Ask, is it necessary that only because only if I work hard, I get 95 percentile? If yes, then you say it is a valid assumption. If no, then you say it is not a valid assumption. I cannot be 100% sure. In this case, I cannot be 100% sure. I cannot say that I have worked hard is a valid assumption here, because there can be ways through which I get 95%. For all that it matters, I don't know whether 95% is great or not, right? So I cannot say that it is a valid assumption. Okay, so I hope you have got what is meaning of causal assumption. Ask yourself whether the cause which is mentioned is the only cause, whether there can be other alternative causes also which can explain the effect. If yes, then it is not a valid assumption. Next is analogy assumption. Compares one situation with the another. And here what you need to do is that ask yourself whether two situations are comparable. It is like apple to oranges comparison. If apple to oranges comparison is given, then of course the assumption is not valid. Next is statistical assumption. What happens here is that statistics is used to prove a point. Now, ask yourself, what you need to do is you need to ask yourself whether the statistics is a representative of entire sample. If yes, then assumption is valid, right? So it is typically your inductive reasoning kind of thing. So from a particular statistics, a general statement is made. Ask yourself whether that general statement can be made or cannot be made. That is a statistical assumption. Fourth is behavioral assumption. Behavioral assumption, most commonly, this is being asked in the exam, suggest an action based on the behavior of the people. Always ask if there is a relationship between that behavior and action. If yes, then assumption is valid. I will demonstrate you these causal assumption, analogy assumption very shortly through these solved examples. So don't worry, if you have not understood anything, you will be understanding it by the end of the session. So at this point, just understand the definition, and whatever things you have understood, it is good. Otherwise, by the end of it, you should understand what we are trying to uh, understand, what I'm trying to convey here. Second approach, the negation approach, it's a wonderful approach. It will work 100% of the times. So I will definitely say that this approach you should look at, but it may take time. It may be time taking. A valid assumption, if made invalid, will make the building fall. This is my basic theory on which this entire approach is built. Okay, so if you remember the diagram, this is your diagram. The assumption is the base of the building. So what we are saying If my assumption is invalid, that is, if the foundation of the building is bad, invalid, then the building will fall. And applying this logic, there is a three-step approach. So to check the validity of an assumption, we will negate it and see what impact it makes on the conclusion, right? So logically, we are saying, since assumption is the base of the building, if assumption is wrong, building will fall. So what we are doing here is that here all the statements which are given, I will negate them. And after negating, I will see what impact it is creating on the given statement, given main statement, right? So if you have seen this type of question, the question construct is like this. I'm sure you have taken the pre-session test, so you already know the construct of the question. So there is one main statement which is given. Main statement is, for example, I have got 95% in class 12. This is the statement. And assumption is given. Assumption number one is given. You need to tell me whether assumption is right or wrong. I'm just telling you the construct of the question. Assumption given is that I have worked hard work. Okay. So what we are saying here is that to find whether assumption one is valid assumption or not, just negate it once. I have not worked hard. If I have not worked hard, how does it impact the 95% in class 12? It doesn't impact. I may still get 95% some way or the other if there are ways. So I cannot say it's a valid assumption. So what we are saying is that negate the given assumption. Please negate it. After negating, check the impact of negated assumption on the evidence and conclusion. That is the structure of the argument. In such type of question, the given main statement is your conclusion or the evidence, whatever you want to treat it. So negate the assumption, check its impact in the given main statement. If the given main statement or the argument becomes useless or irrelevant, then assumption is valid. Negate it, check the impact of the negated assumption on the given main statement. If the given main statement becomes invalid or useless, then it is a valid assumption. That is how you approach the assumption question. Three-step process. Negate, check the impact on the given conclusion, given in main statement. If the given main statement becomes useless or irrelevant, then assumption is valid. Why so? Why, if it is making invalid, why is it a valid assumption if it is making the conclusion useless or irrelevant? For a simple reason. For a simple reason, because we started with this basic theory that if assumption is wrong, that means if assumption is negated, the conclusion will fall. That means conclusion will become useless. So that is what we have done. Negated the assumption, made the conclusion fall. If after negating the assumption conclusion false, it's a valid. I hope you have got the point. Let me demonstrate you in the couple of questions, and then we will go to the pre-session test. Many species of animals on Earth are still not studied scientifically, and we do not do this work urgently. Many species will face extinction. Assumption number one. Earth may lose all types of life very shortly. Now, just negate and see Earth may lose all types of life very shortly. Earth may not lose all types of life very shortly. Has the given statement, is it even talking about all the types of life? It is talking about many species of animals, and many species face extinction. It doesn't talk about all types of life. So this is definitely no way related. After negating assumption number one, it doesn't impact the given statement, because given statement talks about many species. It doesn't talk about all species. So it is not a valid assumption. Assumption number two, it is desirable and possible to study scientifically many animal species. Let me negate this. It is not desirable and not possible. It is not desirable, not possible to study scientifically many animal species. Let me negate it. I have negated it. Let me look at the consequence in the given statement. Now, the given statement says that we are still not studied these species are still not studied scientifically, and if we do not do this work urgently, which work? That is studying them scientifically. So, if assumption 2 is negated, it says that it is not possible to study scientifically. If it is not possible to study scientifically, then the given statement becomes useless, because the given statement says that you should study it scientifically. So that's why Assumption 2 is a valid assumption, and assumption 1 is not a valid assumption. It's a behavioral relationship which is given there. Statement number 2 is question number 2. The next meeting of the executive board of a company will be held after 6 months. Assumption number 1, existing executive board will be dissolved after 6 months. Very easy. I don't think that even in this question I have to negate, because nothing has been talked about that they will be dissolved or they will be continuing. Only thing is being talked about is that the meeting will be held after 6 months. The meeting held doesn't mean that they will be dissolved. So 1 is gone. 2, the company will remain in function after 6 months. Let me negate it. The company will not remain in function after 6 months. If company does not remain in function after 6 months, then this entire statement which says that next meeting will be held after 6 months becomes useless, becomes irrelevant. Hence, 2 is a valid argument. Answer here should be assumption 2 is implicit. Right? So that is how you attempt the question. Let us look at the pre-session test. Okay. So here, A is only assumption 1 is valid, B only assumption 2 is implicit, C if neither 1 nor 2, and B both 1 and 2 are implicit. All right. So pre-session first, use M brand shoes. They are available in all sizes and last longer. An advertisement in the newspaper A says. Assumption 1. Some people do not know about the M brand shoes. Now understand, newspaper has taken an action in saying that use M brand shoes. They have advertised. Why would anybody advertise if everybody knows about it? Advertisement is for brand awareness. Advertisement is to communicate a message. Advertisement is to make people aware one way or the other, right? So this is looks like a behavioral relationship between the given assumption number 1 and the statement. Let me negate and see. Some people do not know about M brand shoes. Let me negate. Some people do not know. Negation should be all people know. Now understand, if all people know about M brand shoes, why will they say use M brand shoes? They are available in all sizes and last longer, prompting to say that use this. So this is, if I negate it, this makes the advertisement irrelevant. So this is a valid assumption. Assumption number 2, people generally prefer shoes which last longer. Of course, the message is about last longer. Let me negate it. People generally do not prefer shoes that last longer. If people do not generally prefer shoes that last longer, then this message becomes irrelevant. Hence, answer here is both. This, the first one, example of behavior. Second one is statistical, that generally people prefer this. It talks about generally. So answer is both are valid assumptions. Detergent should be used to clean clothes. All right. Let us see. Detergent forms more lather. Now, is this anyway related? This is not related at all. Here it talks about cleaning clothes. Here it talks about lather. So not valid. Second, detergents helps to dislodge grease and dirt. Let me negate it. Detergents do not help to dislodge grease and dirt. If they do not help, then the message here is that to clean clothes. If they are not able to dislodge grease and dirt, then how will clothes be clean? So this, after negating, if I negate 2, the given statement becomes useless and irrelevant. So that is why here option number 2 is a valid assumption. Ask whether there is any alternative cause. Ask yourself whether there could be alternative cause for which detergent is used or cleaning is being done. There is no other cause, right? So detergents will help to dislodge grease and dirt. That detergents help, and that's why it is being said to use the clean clothes. So answer is option number B. To keep myself up to date, I always listen to 9 p.m. news on radio. A candidate tells the interview board. Let us see what is the assumption of this candidate. The candidate does not read newspaper. How do we know? The question is about 9 p.m. radio, news on radio. I can't say he reads newspaper or not. Ask whether this behavior is true. I can't say. He may be. He's saying is that to keep myself updated, I listen to 9 p.m. news. That doesn't mean that he does not read newspaper. Nothing is said about it. So ask whether this behavior is true. Don't know. Don't know. Next one. Recent news are broadcast only on radio. Causal. Ask whether this cause holds true. that he listens to radio because only in radio he can get the news. Again, this is not given in the statement. So I cannot say whether this is the cause for the person to listen the news. Answer is neither. Now, of course, you can negate also and check. After negating, you will find that nothing impacts the given statement. Now, in this particular question, let me negate and tell you why answer is neither. The government has decided to reduce custom duty on computers. Assumption one, the government wants to make computer accessible to larger number of people. Is this the only cause for which government has reduced the customs duty? Let us see. The government wants to make computer accessible. The government does not want to make. Let me negate it. Does not want to make computer accessible to larger number of people. Okay, if they do not want to make it accessible, then how, what impact is it making on the given statement that they have reduced the custom duty? No impact. No impact at all. So I can't say assumption one is valid. Let us look at assumption two. Prices in domestic market may go up in near future. How illogical is it? If they have reduced the duty, then how will price go up? Automatically here itself you should have rejected it because it is anti-behavioral relationship. But let us negate and see. Price in domestic market may not go up in near future. The statement is about the present. What happens in the future? Can't say. It's not a valid assumption. It's not impacting that they have reduced the custom duty. In fact, if the price is going up, all you should have said is that they have increased some tax or something. So two is completely insensible thing to say. So assumption one and two neither is right here. Next, in the state of Juminesia, people prefer to travel by X airline instead of Y airline, as X airline has advanced German security system in 99% on-time operation. Now, here the reason itself is given in the statement that they are traveling because of this system. Let us see. Assumption. Airline X with advanced German security system and record on-time operation is perceived better than airline Y. Yeah. Let me negate and say that it is not perceived better. Not perceived better than airline Y. Now, if people do not perceive it better, then why will they travel? Why will they travel? And it's already given that they do it because of these two reasons. So this will make the assumption negation of assumption one will make the given statement completely irrelevant. This is a valid assumption. Next, had advanced German security system and on-time performance record of Y airline been implemented, it would have been preferred over airline X. How do I know? If both the things are equal, how do I know that people prefer Y over X? So can't say about it. If I negate it, the only thing I will come at it is I still cannot say. So assumption one is implicit here and two is not implicit. One is a causal relationship. Why causal here? Because it is directly given in the question. Only that reason, or directly given in the statement. Next, this year's ALET question. We are short on time, so we better send these documents via speed post. Assumptions made here are sending documents via speed post will take less time than some other means of sending documents. If I negate this, that it will not take less time, yeah, it will take more time, then the entire given statement falls flat. Because the given statement says that we are short on time, so we better send these documents via speed post. That means a speed post is a better way of sending the document. If I negate option number A, that sending documents via speed post will take more time than other means of sending documents, then the given statement will fall flat. That is why A is a valid answer here. Look at other option. Document must always be sent via speed post. Look at the language. Must always be sent. Here there is one given statement and the entire tone is must always be sent. Prescriptive cannot be the answer. Sending documents via speed post will take less time than all other means of communication. Can I say all other means? Here I cannot go into the extreme and say it will take less time than all other means of communication. And the question and the given statement also is not on communication, it is about sending the document. Maybe the document has to be sent in the physical form. So it's not only about mode of communication. So answer is option number A here. Next, question 7. India should generate solar energy to meet its unmet requirement. What are the assumptions? Solar energy is cheaper than the other forms of energy. Let me negate and say solar energy is not cheaper than the other forms of energy. But is the given statement even talking about the cost? It only says that India should generate solar energy. It is not talking about the cost. So negating it does not make the given statement useless. So not the answer. India is capable of generating solar energy. Let me negate and say India is not capable. Now, if India is not capable, then the given statement says that India should generate. So if India should generate, but if India is not capable, India should generate things becomes useless. So two is a valid assumption. Two is a valid assumption. India is unable to meet its energy requirement using non-solar source of energy. Let me negate and say India is not unable. That means India is able to meet its energy requirement. If India is able to meet its energy requirement, then just talk about that it should generate to meet its unmet energy requirement. Unmet. This becomes false. So again, this is making my statement useless. So both 2 and 3 are my right answer. To catch the rats running around in the house, you should use a rat trap. Assumption is rats are likely to step in the rat into rat traps. Of course, let me negate and say rats are not likely. If rats are not likely to step into the traps, then why will the trap be set? So one is a valid assumption. Food will be kept inside the rat trap. Nothing with respect to food is being mentioned. Rat traps are small in size. Once again, I don't know about the size. Choose the most appropriate. Answer is very, very simple. Answer is only one is implicit in this. So that is it for this particular session. Do take the post-session test so that you understand how much you have learned after this session. Thank you.